Hey, how you doing? I'm Ozzy, the Ozman, and I have my buddy Garrett with me, who's going to show us some of his comics. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm petting his dog right now. Yeah, so
Is that what we're calling it these days?
Yeah, that's what we're calling it.
Of course.
Yeah, so I watched his other YouTube video, and I really enjoyed it. And he asked me to come over to show some of my favorite comics off, and I said, sure, I got nothing else going on. We've been friends for a while, and we decided about a year ago to start collecting comics. And I think in that year...
It's been exactly a year, last November or December, yeah.
Was it November?
Yeah.
So in about a year, we've both collected. He's at about 700, I'm at about 900. So we've collected quite a few. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about my personal favorite comic books. And in the comments, you can go ahead and leave some of your favorites and see if maybe we have them. We might actually like them. But this is just a quick little look at what I really like. Now, from his video, you can probably see that he's a very big Marvel fan.
It's better.
I am a very big DC fan.
It's not better.
So it always works between us. He
He's
likes
an
one
idiot.
thing. That's true. But my all-time favorite, of course, I'll just get it out of the way.
Aha. Death in the Family.
Death in the Family. One of my all-time favorite comic cycles, if you will. I have all four.
This is iconic series, isn't it? Like something happens in this series.
It is. This is very iconic. As you can see, I have all four.
Look at that. Oh, let's take a look at each one of those. Set them down. All right, so this is the first one.
Number one. Oh, I just kind of showed off there. Number one. I have number two.
And that's Jason Todd.
Oh, this is Jason Todd Robin. What's very iconic about this is Robin, Dick Grayson Robin. Everyone knows Dick Grayson. He becomes Nightwing later on. He's the favorite Robin. He always has been. He was replaced by Jason Todd, who the fans did not like as much. DC decided to have a little poll about this Robin, who was captured by the Joker, and whether they wanted him to live or die.
Is it true that people literally called into a toll-free line?
I believe there was a toll-free number, and it was overwhelmingly to kill him. And this is the death.
This is the death of Jason Todd. Poor Robin. All right.
Who later comes back as one of the best characters in DC, known as Red Hood. He's awesome. And he just becomes a better character overall after his death. This does also kind of change his origin a little bit. He has, just like everything else in comic book, everybody's got like 10 different origins. They're all different. It really doesn't make that big a difference. But yeah, these are some of my favorite comics that I have. Number four. I'm a massive Batman fan. I probably have almost 200 comics almost solely dedicated to something in Batman. It may not be directly Batman, and I'll get to that in a second.
The one thing I really like about this, when you say that just changes the character, Jason Todd was always very much hated. People did not like him because it was almost like he was a knockoff of Dick Grayson. He was basically the same origin story. His parents were acrobats and they died. So it's like, really, who is this guy? And the second that he becomes more of a hard-ass vigilante murderer, that everybody's like, all right, this guy's cool. He went from being the wuss to one of people's favorite characters of all time, like a Punisher type of style.
Exactly. And his original arc was he was a street urchin who was badass enough to steal the wheels
off of Batman's car in the Batmobile, right?
Yeah. And Batman's like, whoa, what's up? And it kind of goes from there. This changes it to where his parents were killed, or supposedly, but his mom's not, and she's kind of taken by the Joker.
Okay. All right. If I may, help me out here. Was it Jason Todd that stole the wheels from Batmobile, or was that
Tim Drake? No,
Tim Drake.
It was Jason Todd.
Oh, okay.
That was his original origin.
Okay, all right. Tim Drake, though, is also in this because he's following around. Oh, no.
No,
Never
Tim
mind.
Drake's not around.
That's in a lonely place of dying, and that's when he's trying to get Batman to say, "Hey, listen, you still need Robin," and it comes next.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm mixing stories up.
That's all right. There's was it 30 came out in the 30s. Detective
There's been a
Comics,
lot. There's been
It's been
over
around
a
for a
year.
minute.
Yeah, there's been over 1,000 Detective Comics alone.
Yeah. And then
What else we got?
I also, not only am I a big Batman fan, but I'm also a very controversial statement for comic book people in the know. I'm a massive Tom King fan. And a lot of people are going, oh, Tom King, no. But Batman Catwoman, I love this comic. It's probably my favorite comic running right now. And the reason why I love it so much, and you don't see it on this cover, I should have grabbed one with the cover, is back in the 90s, there was a animated Batman movie made called Mask of the Phantasm that has one of the coolest characters ever created, Andrea Beaumont.
You keep talking.
Andrea Beaumont is the Phantasm, was also Bruce's first love, who he almost married. Up until this run, there have been really no comic book or even like just media representation of the Phantasm. She's mentioned every once in a blue moon and kind of like as a tertiary character, but never really gets. Oh, Myra has these, and this is, I'm going to show you this one. This one's great. And I have all these covers too, but this is the Phantasm. A very, very, very cool character. Absolutely adore this character because she is a total vigilante who does not care about humanity and will kill. And her entire origin story is basically the antithesis of Batman, where Batman has the will to not kill.
Based upon his tragedy, her tragedy
With losing her family to mobsters, she doesn't care and she will kill. And having the dichotomy of Bruce love Andrea and she love him, and then realizing it doesn't work out and she leaves and comes back into his life as the Phantasm. And just go watch Mask of the Phantasm. Yeah. It's one of the best DC properties. And again, another shout out Phantasm.
This Phantasm is a pretty sick character. Now, if I may, because I'm not as knowledgeable on the DC front, this type of, I wouldn't say storyline, but this type of characterization within a character, all of a sudden, as you were describing it, I immediately thought of Huntress as well.
Yes.
Right? Where she also has that
family tragedy.
That kind of pushes her more to the, saying screw it to the morality aspect than, let's say, Bruce Wayne had. But when it comes to Andrea Beaumont, she's definitely more psychotic. You would say, I mean, maybe I shouldn't use that word loosely, but she's definitely scarier.
She's scarier. She is much scarier.
Because Huntress is like, she's like a badass, but more in a action figure type of way. Phantasm is like the angel of death.
Yeah.
She's the Grim Reaper with the scythe, basically.
Exactly.
You know what
I mean? So I can talk about Andrea Beaumont and Phantasm all day. Go watch the movie. It's fantastic. You could probably find it for like $5.
What else we got?
Another character from Batman property that is not as well known, as similar to Phantasm, is Azrael.
The actual Angel of Death.
One of my all-time favorite comics. I
didn't plan that, by the way. That was actually cool.
I have almost everything that is comic form of Azrael and toy form.
Wait a minute. This is sort of Azrael Batman #1.
Yes.
This is the first appearance of Azrael.
This is the first appearance.
Look at that. That is pretty sick.
Absolutely fantastic character. Again, really showing a different dichotomy of zealotry, because we can talk the virtues of Batman, and I love talking the virtues of Batman to anyone, but he is also a sociopath. He's a zealot. This, who is Jean-Paul Valley, he is a religious zealot, and he's brainwashed into the Order of Saint Thomas and becomes a killer for God. Very interesting character, trained by Batman. Some iterations, he and Bruce both underwent training under the Saint Thomas, but in his original story, he's actually not the first Azrael. His father was the first Azrael.
Ludwig von Valley.
Yes. And he takes up the mantle after his father is killed. He's brainwashed into the Order and becomes a killer. Very cool story. Also
Templar Knight style. Basically.
Yeah, very Templar Knight style. Getting a lot of groundswell. I did not think, and I've been collecting Azrael for a while, I did not think he was going to get as popular as he has. He's showed up in the Gotham show, and they did him dirty. I hated his representation in that. But he gets killed with a rocket launcher. Like,
let's keep this up over there.
Yeah, we can keep talking about it. But he's starting to show up in more stories, and I really like. He was in The Adventures Continue. It's a comic book story by Paul Dini, who did the original
Batman series.
Animated series. It's very cool. He shows up in that, makes me happy. He's also showed up now in Urban Legends.
Issue 7.
Issue 7.
Yeah.
Which I should have brought that, but I didn't bring it because there's a cover of him with just Azrael's cover. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he was also in Legends of the Dark Knight in his own story. Makes me very happy because he's a great character and I think he could be fleshed out more. And I tend to find, I think that's probably my big difference between DC and Marvel. I don't judge the properties by their main character. I judge by the supplementary characters. And I tend to gravitate more to the unknown DC character than I do to the unknown Marvel character. Now, I've been branching out, and I'll show you a couple that I've been branching into the Marvel, because I didn't read Marvel at all for years. I didn't like the mainstays. I didn't care for the X-Men. I thought it was cool, but I didn't care. I didn't care for Captain America. I didn't care for the Avengers. I didn't care for Iron Man.
I mean, the Avengers, Captain America, I'm going to punch you in the face if you say that again.
But it's
Azrael's
fair. It's totally fair. I understand why everyone likes these. Like,
you're not
I'm
wrong.
a DC fan. I hate Superman. I can't stand Superman.
Yeah, Boy Scout and all that. I get exactly what you're saying. I do understand the idea that Marvel tends to have more of a I don't want to call it loose or cartoonish, but it definitely does not push the boundaries of depthness within characters and within storylines.
I have a comic that I can show, but we've talked about stakes
when
it comes to comics.
Right.
There are DC properties that I've read that I feel like there are genuine stakes where this character's going to die.
Yeah. Or this character is going to transform and change their entire outlook on life in whatever direction.
And I'm going to bring up a comic actually right now because I think it's a perfect segue as to why I have a harder time with Marvel property. And again, I don't knock anybody who reads Marvel. I love Marvel. I'm just a bigger DC guy. But I really started getting into... Oh, let me get rid of that.
Yeah. First thing that I always do whenever I purchase my comics, even sometimes before I read them, unless it's something I really need to read that moment, I have to bag it, I have to board it, I have to get that sticker off, I have to scan it. Otherwise, I'm going to get to, I remember the King in Black series. Is this the...
This is the Donnie cover.
Okay.
Super cool.
For a second there, I thought it looked a little bit like, what's his name, Scotty Young. I feel like it was a little bit of a cartoon, but no,
this was my really first jump into Marvel.
Yeah. When we first started comics, actually, it was only a couple months after that King in Black first started. Yeah. It was January of this year, I think. Yeah.
I really liked it. I got every issue and variants of the King in Black main arc. I didn't want to branch out into the other properties that were tying into the King in Black arc.
There were a lot of tie-ins.
I did it with Future State, and I'm doing it with Fear State.
It's breaking your wallet, man. It's breaking your wallet.
Read the main one and just kind of go from there. It's fine. If you really like it and start branching out, that's fine too. I won't do it again. It's way too much. I really liked this story. I liked it a lot. I like... It actually branched me into Venom and Carnage stuff because I tended to like the symbiote stuff. So I'm starting to collect more into Venom. I actually got the new Venom that came out, Venom 1 for the new Venom run. Very good.
Do you have that in here as well?
I don't think I have it in here.
Let me see if I can find it. I'll show off the cover.
I really like the symbiote story. I don't know. It just kind of clicked with me. I liked it. I liked this series until I didn't. And I don't want to spoil anything, but basically something really, really cool kind of got reversed. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because you can't do that. It's similar to the Marvel movies with Infinity War and Endgame. If you've seen those movies, you know what I'm talking about. Again, I don't want to spoil anything. I have a 2-year rule, and I think it's past the 2-year for Endgame, isn't it? That came out.
It's been a while now. Yeah, I mean.
All right, so my 2-year rule's up. So in Infinity War, the snap happens, and literally half of Marvel's cinematic universe is gone. Endgame happens, and again, anybody who knows anything about the Infinity Gauntlet knows, and the Infinity War knows that it gets reversed. So I wasn't shocked at the end of Endgame when everything got reversed. But it also shows that there's really no stake, except for Tony Stark's death, which was super cool. I liked that. But there was no, for me, there was no stakes.
It was predictable.
You knew it was going to happen because they're not going to kill off some of their best money-making property.
Or change it, or do anything.
Or really change it, because eventually it will just go back. So...
Can I show off this cover of the King in Black
Sure.
really quickly? This one is actually a pretty sick cover. This is the final issue of that King in Black series. And you just have Venom there with this sword. Actually, I'll do a spoiler. I don't care right now. In this issue, it's kind of sick. He takes Mjolnir, Venom, Eddie Brock takes Mjolnir. He takes Silver Surfer's board. And he smashes them together to form this gigantic axe that is literally used to chop off the head of a Celestial.
Yep.
It was great. Now, how he's able to do that, I'm not going to spoil. But oh my goodness, this series was unbelievable. It really was.
It really was good. Couldn't recommend it enough, and it was a good jump in for me. And yeah, we could show off the Venom.
Yeah.
A really cool reboot to the Venom character. It's no longer Eddie Brock who's tagged with the symbiote. It's his son. And that's really cool. And you see, because at the end of King in Black, Eddie Brock becomes the new King in Black. He becomes the new god of the symbiotes. So he's got his own thing he's got to do.
Eddie. And then you have all these symbiotes.
Yeah.
Eddie.
So he's got his own thing to do. His son ends up bonding with the Venom symbiote, and they're going to have their own adventures.
Yeah.
They're all going to tie together. Eddie Brock will eventually become Venom again, and his son is probably going to...
It's happened a number of times. Even Flash Thompson was Venom at one point.
Everyone...
That was annoying.
Yeah, again, because you can only deviate so far from the main property before you have to start going back. And it's kind of a big fault of most comics. I feel like nobody's brave enough to really make that change, unless you're just
Or even the publishing companies aren't
Yeah.
willing to allow some writers to even go that direction, I would say as well.
Yeah, so like you can take a character so far and start changing things, but it's not part of the canon, and you go back to the canon, you're like, okay, that's fine.
I remember the time when we first started talking about this very same phenomenon. It was actually during this King in Black series, because even though this series was phenomenal, it was great, it definitely did punch you in the face with, oh wow, how they can create a new story like that. But I remember one of the Black Cat tie-ins, before King in Black finished, you already knew at the end of Black Cat that everything works out, everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, which came out before
the issue
that it was actually fixed.
Exactly.
So you were spoiled on the ending.
Yeah. So everything's back to normal. Back when it was, when the darkness happened. I think it was issue 4 of Black Cat's new run.
Which, I mean, sometimes it happens just because, publishing date gets mixed up or something gets delayed a week, and then the other one's, like, on time, so you get a weird, like, oh, well, I know what happened. That's cool.
And it's fine to have a spoiler, but it's another thing when you're right. When it's like, okay, then what was the point of all this then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know it's just to make money, and I get it. But I think that's a big fault with a lot of comic book property is... more change is good, and I think that kind of can segue into the whole culture change of characters.
Okay.
And we could talk about that in this video or another. I don't want characters racially swapped because both properties have amazing characters that were started off as people of color or minorities and should be given more of a limelight. You don't need to make Superman black. You don't need to make Spider-Man black. So you don't need to take Peter Parker black. Miles Morales is cool. Keep Miles Morales.
That next Batman, what's his name?
It's
Fox?
Jace.
No. The next Batman. Tim Fox?
It's Tim, but his name's Jace. He calls himself Jace.
Oh, okay. Because his father's also Tim Fox, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right,
So,
that makes sense. Okay. He's actually kind of cool.
Super cool Batman.
I wasn't a fan of the story, but he's actually his suits and everything.
Yes. And
keep talking. I'm getting another cover.
yeah, go ahead. I didn't grab any of my future state. So that Batman is super cool. He's a black Batman who takes over the mantle after Bruce Wayne basically loses, and that's super interesting. And this Batman is going through an identity crisis, trying to figure out what is his Batman.
Dude, show that.
Yeah, that's good. Here it is. Next Batman. Awesome storyline. It's based off the Future State run that DC had, which again I got into really hard. I think I got everything out of Future State. Very interesting. I like taking new characters and putting them into established roles. I find it interesting, especially if it's like a time jump. Because I mean, you take a look at the Flash. Very interesting. Most people would say that Barry Allen is the first Flash.
Technically,
no.
Hold on. From issue standard, you want to go Wally West and go back in time and all that.
Wally West was after Barry Allen.
Yeah. So who are you talking
Jay
about?
Garrick.
Who the hell's Jay Garrett?
He was the first Flash. He was the first Flash 16 years before Barry Allen even showed up. All of the mannerisms that we know about Flash, even Barry Allen Flash, comes from Wally West.
No kidding.
The character gets so convoluted that people want to go, oh, it's Barry Allen. It's Barry. No. Jay Garrick was the first one. And everything that you like about Barry Allen, you got from Wally West.
That's just annoying, dude. I like Barry Allen.
Barry Allen is cool. But a lot of that stuff is from Wally West.
Yeah,
that's just
okay,
integrated into his story.
All right. But see, that's why DC is just annoying.
Marvel is just as bad with it. Because you have properties that have lasted 60 years. Things are going to kind of change and flip-flop.
That's true.
But it's all good. Find one that you like and get into it. But yeah, super cool.
This won't be on my side. Those ones are your side.
I had 900 comics. You wanted me to bring them all over. That's
I kind of said, oh, hey, let's just have an afternoon. Just bring them. Let's have some fun.
Now, another comic. And I jumped into this very randomly. I wasn't sure how I would like it. I ended up falling in love with it. This is actually the first print of the second run, or the second printing of the first issue. It's Better Rate Bill, which is actually one of my favorite covers I've picked up. Better Rate Bill.
You do have the...
I have the original run.
Yeah, you do have the first printing.
This is the only second printing I bought because I really loved the cover. Super interesting character. I knew nothing about him. I knew that he had Stormbreaker, which is his axe, which was the axe that was in Infinity War. And I heard Stormbreaker, and I'm like, oh, maybe Better Ray Bill might show up, but I knew nothing about the character. I just knew that Stormbreaker was...
I still barely know much about this character, or even Thor, for that matter, in the Thor universe.
You're not a big cosmic guy.
I'm not a big cosmic guy.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big cosmic guy myself, but...
the art in this is...
The art is awesome.
So this is the first issue, right? Do you mind if I open it up?
Sure, go ahead.
Wait, you know... Yeah, all right, because I know this is your variant. Yeah. But
yeah, it's super interesting. Really cool character. Basically was like a rival of Thor's. They fought, Thor beat him, they become friends. He gets an axe called Stormbreaker that helps him turn into a human, because he's basically like a cyborg robot hybrid, right? He's his planet's last protector. He ends up becoming a protector of Asgard while, Thor's doing his thing. And Thor at one point breaks Stormbreaker, so he can't transform into a human anymore, which is what he wants. He wants to be able to blend in because he looks like a freakazoid in a way. And this story is actually really, really sad. And he's in love with this girl who loved his human form but can't be in love with his current form. So he goes on a mission to find a weapon that can help him transform back to a human.
And yeah, I remember reading that too. And it's just like, what does he say? What does he say? I know. Here.
Yeah, I don't remember verbatim what he says, but it's...
oh, gosh, but I just opened it up to... When I say this is what I was looking for. When I say that this art is kind of ridiculous, I actually remember opening this up being like, what on earth are we looking at there?
And again, I think, again, with art, I like my photorealistic, really clean CGI look to the... But there's something awesome about minimalistic, rougher-looking drawings. And I'll show one later of an artist that I absolutely adore as well. Again, part of the Future State. Go ahead.
Yeah, where he said, I'm not blind. please, I understand. And she says, I am not blind. We're looking, because she wants him to turn to his human form,
Yes.
right?
She's like, turn into your human, turn. He's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have my Stormbreaker. I can't turn into my human. And she's like, well, go away, weird horse dude.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm really sorry because you're cool and all, but you look ugly as shit. And he goes, oh, I get it. I have eyes. And just walks away. And he's heartbroken because he thought they actually had love. And it was all visual. So that hit hard. And I think there's a lot of people out there who can
relate to that.
Definitely
relate to that. Oh,
and so I really like Better Ray Bill. It's a great, I think it's 6 issues. It's great. Pick it up. I want to say they're coming out with another run. I think at the end of the 6th one, it said that he will be back on another run, so I'm looking forward to that.
I honestly think Better Ray Bill with that small miniseries was much more popular than Black Cat, Jed McKay's Black Cat run.
Really?
I think so, yeah. It was huge. People loved it. They went crazy over it. This guy's coming back.
I hope so.
Is.
I really like the character. I really want to see more of Better Ray Bill, and I'm going to be collecting more Better Ray Bill. This is probably one of my older comics, and it's really not even that old. I don't have anything from the 70s, I don't think. Most of my stuff's from the 80s when it's older. But another character I love from Marvel is Black Knight. Super awesome character. He was actually spoiled, or not spoiled, he was teased at the end of the Eternals. So he will be he will be in the cinematic universe, which is super cool.
So this is issue 1 from the 90s. Is this was Black Knight introduced in that big, that dump of issue 1s, or does he have a first appearance somewhere else?
I honestly don't know. This was just the first one that I could find of Black Knight run.
Yeah. We need to see if we can find you that first appearance, especially with the movie coming up. This might be worth something more, even more if it's actually
really cool character. He is basically holds an ebony blade that uses all the negative feelings that he has to power him up. So rage, anger, and it basically turns him into a killing machine. Loosely tied, like there's a new run that's called Curse of the Ebony Blade with Black Knight, which I picked that up randomly. Again, I just like, oh, Knight, that looks kind of cool. And I'm still trying to get into more Marvel property, and I just happened to pick it up, and I really liked the run. So I found this, and I think Black Knight's really cool. I don't have the new one, so I can't tell you what it is, but it's called Curse of the Ebony Blade. Pick it up. It's an interesting read.
The new run, or just the I don't think I have it. Black Knight.
I don't think you ever picked it up.
I don't think I did. I think I was thinking about it, but I read your copy. I thought it was all right, but I didn't continue. And same thing with the Better Ray Bill. It was great. I just didn't really put it on my pull. All right, what else we got?
I have a DC Vertigo character who started off in Swamp Thing and got his own run on Vertigo. And
could you explain what this Vertigo thing is again?
Vertigo was and
it turned into Black Label or something like that, right?
It was it was basically like a subset of DC. It turned into the Black Label. So anything that's under Black Label would have been under the Vertigo run.
Okay.
But this is the first, not appearance, but the first issue of John Constantine.
Oh!
Again, another one of my favorite DC sub-characters, kind of not as well known. Really interesting anti-hero. Could be a villain, could be a hero, depending on your outlook. I consider him very much a villain because he does a lot of really shady stuff. But I have the entire New 52 run. I have everything up to date. I have the 1 through 12 rebrand or rerun of the Hellblazer run that happened after 52. And now they're coming out with a Justice League Dark either TV show or movie. And he'll play a big role in that because he's one of the members of Justice League Dark. He's a magic user.
Yeah. I remember reading the New 52, your copies, the first few issues. Constantine is great. He is hilarious. And I don't know why, but I don't think I told you this. When I was reading those first few issues, what was going and I love, what's his name? The Matrix. Neo. What's his name?
Lawrence Fishburne?
No.
Oh,
Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves as Constantine. I love that guy in the show as Constantine as well. But for some reason, I was picturing Spike's voice when I was reading
Oh,
New
Cockney,
52
yeah. The
Constantine.
Cockney accent,
Yeah, with his blonde hair and everything and smoking the cigarette.
That's another thing.
And his
a lot
cockiness.
of people will know Constantine, or may not only know Constantine from the Keanu Reeves movie that came out in the early 2000s, Constantine. That is the movie version. He's really good, and I'm really happy they're doing a second movie. It is not the comic book version. They are different.
Very different. Very different. Yeah.
But it did have Papa Midnight.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Oh, and isn't this the first appearance of Papa
Midnight,
Midnight, though, man?
So I was able to pick this up. I was very happy.
What's that
about
actor's name? I never pronounce it correctly.
Dijman Hansu?
He is so awesome.
Yeah, he
Dude,
should literally just be in
everything that he does is just, the guy is 1000% on point. I remember
awesome.
first time I saw him was in Gladiator.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah.
He's great in that. I think that was probably my first movie with him, too.
All right. So, the turn of the century. Those movies were really... I think that's when that was the peak. That's when everything... Yeah, that's when it started going down.
Yeah.
Everything up to Millennium and then the first few
with
years.
Titanic. Which, say what you will, I don't like Titanic personally. I understand how great it is. Both cinematically and just...
Culturally.
Yeah. I think it would start with Titanic and probably end with The Matrix, in my opinion.
Okay. At least
the third one,
time
I
period,
think, was kind of the end.
Yeah.
Because the third one was
even the second one sucked, dude. I would just say, I'm sorry.
The first one's fantastic. The second one's good.
No,
the third one is bad.
It's very bad.
The second one's good, but it's a letdown from the first one.
I think it's because
a lot of people
all
think it sucked.
Yeah, because we all had a mindset of what this whole universe, this whole idea, whatever it is, and the second that they went into that underground type of feel, it just took away entirely from what we had pictured into our minds.
Yeah.
So you are right that our perception just completely changed. And we're like, okay.
And it's still a fine movie. I really like it. It's not as good as the first. The first one, I think, is one of those Mount Rushmore type movies. Which is, it's odd to say because you have literally 60 years of movies in front of it, but there was something about the first Matrix that really hit hard.
It's like it changed the course of how we view things almost. It was like nowadays, everybody will reference the Matrix and the idea of, it's kind of like Big Brother. Yeah. You could classify, I think you could classify George Orwell's Big Brother, and every time we would reference anything Big Brother-esque like that back then.
From 1984.
Yeah, from 1984, thank you, yeah. Today, you could do the exact same thing when it comes to Matrix in this technological age.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It kind of encapsulates an era.
Yeah.
Especially, I guess, millennials. Yeah. Like, it's a big cultural millennial thing.
You know, one thing that we're definitely going to be doing, I think we're going to be splitting up videos and talking pop culture movies, then we'll get pop culture music, then we'll get our comic books, because we could just go all day, man.
We could. Now, another Marvel property that I really got into, I'm actually really
our boy?
into. It is
There we
Man
go.
Without Fear, Mr. Daredevil.
And you do have all 4 of these, right?
I do have all 4.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Frank Miller's Daredevil. Really cool.
I think one should be a fan of Frank Miller just in general.
Yeah, Frank Miller's great.
Yeah.
Really good writer.
Who, forgive me for just stopping for a second, who was the artist that did with Frank Miller on Batman? Because I remember those were just...
like the Return of the Dark Knight type?
The 80s. Didn't Frank Miller work on Batman in the 80s?
We talked about Return of the Dark Knight.
Probably then, yeah. I remember flipping through those. Because the way that Joker's even done in those is kind of disgusting.
Well, we got little computers. I can look that up
real
quick. I'm not as familiar with artists and writers as I would like. I'm more familiar with writers than I am artists.
I've actually started appreciating art a hell of a lot more ever since I got into... I mean, just look at these covers on itself, right? Let's say this Daredevil cover that Garrett just brought out. I mean, when you just glance at it, because I'm not an artist, right? So I was never able to appreciate it so much so beforehand. But when you're properly looking at it day to day, and you're like, look at this, the intricacies of that and how they come up with these types of concepts. Because an artist literally just says,
Frank
here's
Miller
the character.
And Klaus Janson did the...
There we go, Janson, that's it, yeah.
Miller and Janson. Good writer, good artist. I'd probably up there for like in the 80s with McFarlane.
Yeah.
Which again, love or hate him, he was influential in art. He actually epitomized the best spider suit in a lot of people's opinion.
With this Daredevil though, why are you so fascinated with this guy? Like I kind of understand the other anti-heroes, but this one is not as Because he's a lawyer, too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
He's a lawyer. He's devoutly Christian. He's blind. There's a lot of things that Meyer's chuckling because my personality is very much the antithesis of a lot of these characters that I like, and I think that's the reason. But
I thought you would have gravitated towards Punisher personally.
Yes,
and in the Marvel area, I really thought you would have went that direction.
Punisher.
Yeah,
I don't like Punisher. I think Punisher is the worst way to write a sociopath. Nothing against anybody who likes Punisher, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are you can come at me in the comments going, "Oh, you don't understand Punisher," and I get that. I don't know Punisher as well as somebody who sits and reads Punisher all day, but everything I've read or seen about the Punisher shows me the actual downside of being a sociopath. One thing we have to get straight with comic book characters: they're zealots. They are insane. None of them are what I would call rational. And that could be really along the line of almost every character because they do things heroically but can rationalize things that a lot of your everyday people could not rationalize.
Yeah, that's true.
Take, for example, the epitome of one versus society. I think most people would be willing to sacrifice one to save everyone. You'd probably even be willing to sacrifice yourself in the right situation. But if you get a buddy of yours who's on the rack and you're like, give me the Infinity Stone or I'll torture your buddy, you give up the Infinity Stone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't rationalize that. But when your hero complex, which is it's a way of insanity. When you're that high up in your own ass, in a way, of being a hero, you can't.
Let me stop Garrett right there. What he's basically trying to say is that Superman is a douchebag Boy Scout dumbass. I think that's kind of what he's getting at.
Well, and again, I don't blame the characters so much.
We're talking about Daredevil, but I know where he's going with this.
No, I'm not. I wasn't even.
No, you're right. No, you actually are right. But that's why I feel like for example, if we were to bring in Spider-Man, and we all know this iconic quote from what Ben says to him, with great power comes great responsibility. Because that really essentially is the antithesis of this entire realm of these superheroes.
Spider-Man is one of the unique ones.
Yeah.
Where people forget a lot of the times, and I think the best thing that Tom Holland has done as Spider-Man in the MCU is remind you that he's a kid.
Yeah.
And now I'm a big fan of older, grumpier versions of characters. Like Into the Spider-Verse, I loved older Peter Parker, who's just like
a dick.
Slightly overweight. He's a dick. He's not as good as he was when he was younger. He's kind of beaten down. I find those characters interesting. But you forget sometimes, this is a kid who has basically the intelligence and power of a god who's trying to live his life the best way. And you forget that on occasion.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the biggest fault with Amazing Spider-Man, the movies, and the original Spider-Man run, was they're both fine in their own respects.
But they didn't take that personal aspect, the personal responsibility
There's
aspect.
certain things about being a kid that
the pressure. Yeah, and the pressure as well.
Say, Tobey Maguire, who's in college.
Yeah.
Or Andrew Garfield, who never really felt like a high school kid to me.
Oh,
even Tobey Maguire in the first one, who was in high school, never really felt like a high school kid. Because it wasn't emphasized that much. And they did a little bit more in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but it never felt right. Because he never felt like a kid. There's a lot of these superheroes that you look at, they're all adults.
Daredevil being he's a lawyer. He's an attorney.
He lost his sight when he was a child, but
he's learned to adapt.
He's grown up, he's adapted. He didn't become a superhero until later in the game. But he's still human, which again, I find more human characters more interesting than I do like superpower beings that power can just change randomly, and you're like, okay, like, all right, I'm just gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Okay.
Superman is a terrible character. We're just gonna do it. And I know you want to get into Superman, and I really want you to do that.
I'm just gonna grab Justice League, put him up here so that people know who we're talking about. Yeah.
If you don't know who Superman is, you shouldn't be watching any type of channel about comics, because Superman is the first superhero. Superman is a terrible character because he cannot fail. Now, why I say that is he is written from his origin to today in such an increase that he cannot fail.
Didn't he bench press planets at one point or something?
He can bench press galaxies now. Like, who knows? His power scaling just keeps going up and up and up and up. There is no ceiling. And we could talk about, and there's a lot of traction in social media that likes to pick characters cross genre, like Superman versus Thanos or Superman versus Ghost Rider.
Well, Thanos, I think he'd have a tougher time with. Ghost Rider, you'd probably take on pretty easily.
Ghost Rider can't lose. Ever.
I've never really read Ghost Rider. I know that you wanted to get into him, too.
Ghost Rider's cool. Ghost Rider cannot lose unless it's by the god that created him. Ghost Rider is the most OP character in comics. He can't die. You can't kill him unless it's the god that created him.
So but then how's that any different from Superman being literally that alien god who also cannot die?
Kryptonite. If you hit,
this is back to the metachlorian debate where
if you hit Superman in the heart with kryptonite, you can kill him.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Ghost Rider.
It's his Achilles heel. That's what it started off with.
And basically that's like their only saving grace for Superman is, oh, he is a god. A literal god. There's nothing that he can't do. I have a little green rock, though. And that can kind of check you.
Just by me holding it and you being near me.
People are going to say, oh, read All-Star Superman. I'll read this. I've read them. I don't like him. Lex Luthor, super cool. I like Lex Luthor. He's a great antithesis for Superman because he's a human who's like, yo, no, wait, though. This guy ain't good. Like, right, so I get the mindset behind it.
Can I ask you about this while I'm preparing to read Superman? How close am I in comparing Lex Luthor to, let's say, J. Jonah Jameson, who just doesn't like this guy because he believes he's a menace, he's bad for society? Is that a good comparison? Obviously, J. Jonah Jameson is just a bubbling editor, and Lex Luthor is a crime villain. But
I would put Lex Luthor with probably one of two, either Dr. Doom or Kingpin.
That's more Dr. Doom or more Kingpin? Because that's
kind of a hybrid of both.
Really?
And the reason I say is that Dr. Doom is an arrogant dickhead who thinks he knows what's best for everybody.
Yeah, because he's coming at it from a positive way. Not positive,
his villainy comes from, I think I know what's right.
Yeah, versus Kingpin is just a crime lord.
Kingpin's a crime lord.
Yeah.
And that's why I say they're a mix of the two, because Lex Luthor is very much a crime lord, but he thinks he's doing it in the benefit of humanity because he wants to stop superpower beings.
What is his reasoning in wanting to stop superpower beings?
They're stronger than us. If Superman ever lost his shit, he could destroy the Earth in a second.
And that happens at times. Not him destroying them, but that pressure gets to him so much that he just snaps. He's like, fuck it.
The whole premise of Injustice, the game and the show and the comic, is Superman having one really bad day. And what could happen? The thing is, and you know, again, this comes up all the time. Batman could beat Superman. This guy could beat Superman. The reason why they're alive when they fight is because Superman doesn't want to kill them. That's all. If Superman wanted you dead, you're dead.
Isn't there something cool about that, though? The fact that he has that restraint as well.
It's cool. It is cool, but the problem I have with it is that there is nothing that can check him. Even Batman with prep time
and how many more stories
Batman fans, I'm a Batman fan. I'm with you. I hear you. Stop with the prep time. It doesn't always work. If he has prep time, everyone else has prep time. He's good enough on his own, but he can't beat everyone. That's just how it is. If Superman took things seriously, he would kill you faster than you could realize you're dead. Like Batman versus Superman. If Superman wanted to kill him in comic book form, he would move so fast and hit him so hard in the chest, it would shatter him.
He'd be done.
He would blow apart.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne would be
That's
just
the
a
end.
human being. He'd be gone.
The
Finished.
reason why he doesn't is because that's still his friend. He doesn't want to kill his friend. The reason why he doesn't kill anybody when he goes really bad is there's still something in him that doesn't want to do it. And I get that, like, it's cool because he is still a good person and he tries to do good things, but it's just a character I don't like that much.
Batman
Super cool. If you like Superman, I respect you. No hate on my end. Just not for me.
If I may, I like this one panel and this one line from, I think it was issue 3. We talked about this once, where he says, here, there's issue 3, where,
Oh, Last Ride. Chip
Yeah.
Zdarsky, by the way. Awesome writer. Read everything he writes.
I
His
think
Daredevil run is
Green Lantern and a Batman are talking.
Yes. All right, so the premise of Last Ride is basically John Jones died, the Martian Manhunter. And
I don't think this is the issue. I'll grab the other one, but in the meantime, let me show this while you keep talking. That is just disgustingly awesome.
so, yeah, it's great. Artwork's fantastic. And the whole premise was that there was a plan set out by Batman that kind of went awry, that John Jones sacrificed himself to save everyone. Superman took it really hard because one of his friends died, understandably, but he blamed Batman. And in the panel, it's, I want to say, it's either John, I think he's talking to John Stewart.
It's Hal.
Is he talking to Hal? Because Hal Jordan and John Stewart are both in
And
it.
forgive me if this sounds wrong to say, but who's the black one? Who's the white
That's
one?
John Stewart. John Stewart is the black one. Hal
Okay.
Jordan is the white one.
Gotcha. All right, so
They're
he's
sitting
talking to
there
Hal.
talking, and he's like, Batman, he's not really mad at you. Oh, yep, here it is. So they're
Be
sitting
around,
there
I think,
talking.
in this panel area right here. I think it might be.
So Hal Jordan goes, Bruce, nobody blames you for what happened. And Batman goes, one of you does. I'm talking about Superman. And then Hal Jordan goes, he knows you. He knows not to blame you. He's just mad at himself. He wants to be everywhere at all times, saving everyone. And Batman goes, Superman wants to be in the right place at the right time, but I should have been 2 steps ahead so I could lead him to that right place. He blames me. Because Superman does, as far as tactician work goes, Batman's probably one of the best.
Obviously, Batman's the smartest man.
One of the
alive.
smartest men
yeah,
in
he's,
DC.
He's the detective. He knows everything.
He's not the smartest, but he's up there as far as like a Sherlock Holmesian style of general knowledge. There's not a whole lot he doesn't know.
Well, you know how in like the in Marvel, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards is considered the smartest man in the Marvel universe. Does DC have an equivalent? And if not, I would think it would be Batman.
He's up there. He's not the most intelligent, but he's up there.
Yeah.
And again, this is from a human perspective because there's a lot of celestial beings that have way more infinite knowledge than he does.
Of course.
But as far as like I consider Batman a vigilante Sherlock Holmes. He's very, very astute with just about everything.
I'm sorry, how awesome would it be if Robert Downey Jr. were to be Batman? Come on, it'd be kind of funny, dude, too. Like, if you were to mix, like, an Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes, and Batman together with Robert Downey Jr. as it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting.
It'd be interesting, sure. Garrett likes anything not having to do with Bruce Wayne, Batman. If it's Batman and it has nothing to do with Bruce Wayne, he's fascinated by it. Like, most people get pissed off by, like,
No, it's the
replications. Opposite. Yeah, with you, it's like, dude, this is cool, all right.
I really like Bruce Wayne.
No, you. I thought you. That's why you like not Bruce Wayne Batman. That's why there are all these other.
Oh no, yeah.
Like Nighthawk
like,
and.
Yes, I like when other people take up the mantle.
There we go. That's what it is. Yeah.
But if I'm getting a Batman story, I like.
Okay.
A Bruce Wayne perspective. I like to see old grizzled Bruce Wayne, kind of dealing with life. I would find that interesting.
Kind of like Batman the Detective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's older, all of his people that are around him, he's driven away because he's a dickhead, which he is. Bruce Wayne is a massive dick. Or can be. Sometimes he's pretty cool, but he can be a really big dick. And I find old dick Batman more interesting than like young, hopeful, vigilante Batman.
I think the reason why a lot of Batman books today, why people are kind of frustrated and annoyed with a lot of them, is because they deal with so many other characters and so many different storylines. People are just looking for just Batman.
Yeah.
Like, people want a story that's like, hey, just give me Batman being a detective, finding,
I want
figuring out
detective.
what's going on.
Detective.
Yeah.
Detective.
Give me some action scenes, give me some detective work.
That is
and
one of
that's
the biggest
it.
failings of the Nolan trilogy. There's not enough detective work.
There really isn't. That kind of
There's that
surprised me
one
as well.
scene where he's
the
doing
second
the
one, the
bullets.
bullets. Yeah, that's all
Which
you
is
could
super
really think
cool,
of.
and that was like one of the most interesting things about the movie.
Yeah, but there were no
That's
clues
about
that
it.
he kind of
And
really...
that's what apparently the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson is supposed to be, a detective noir film style.
I'm still not sold on Robert Pattinson, but yet, anytime we're not sold on these new guys, they end up surprising us.
I like the look. We'll see.
We'll see.
Can
you really expect Sparkly Edward, to be the Dark Knight? I mean, come on. They have to...
like the look. I like the look. I didn't like it at first, and then I saw the trailer, and I'm kind of into it. But we're digressing.
Yeah, sorry. That's all right. This thing, we're going to have to chop it up and split it up into different
Another comic I'm reading right now is The Joker. This is volume 2 of Joker, because there is a older version Joker comic run. The reason I picked this up, and I didn't even realize it until the first one I read, it's actually not so much about the Joker. It's all from the perspective of Jim Gordon. Again, I like secondary, tertiary characters more so than I like the mainstays. Anything from Jim Gordon's perspective, I'm in. Jim Gordon is cool, awesome character, especially old, retired Jim Gordon, who's kind of...
He's kind of like a Bigby, right? You're talking an old man who's seen everything in the world, who knows what should be done. You can absolutely relate to that.
Yeah.
In your everyday activity, it's like, no, this guy knows what he's doing. Shut up. You got to trust him.
Let him
do what he...
Jim.
Yeah,
he
let him do what
knows
he's got
what's
to do.
up. And good Bigby. Yeah. Which we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, great run. Again, probably one of the best writers out there right now in James Tynion IV. He's basically writing everything right now. Nice House on the Lake. He's writing Joker. He just finished his run on Batman.
Which is the last Batman book, by the way? Was it I think it's the most recent one, or is it the last one?
It's 117.
Because, yeah, I think Fear State still has one more book.
I think so, but I think Williamson is picking up in December.
So then after that, yeah. And then what's interesting is that Detective Comics is no longer going to have Batman even.
Supposedly.
Starting next year.
Yes.
That, and in that type of instance, I actually might be okay with. Yes, I'm one of those people that
are
want just
Batman properties. We can take a break.
Yeah, and it'd be kind of cool to learn about the other Bat characters a bit more.
There's other characters that are super interesting, and actually one I want to pick up because again, Tom King is one of my favorite writers. He's writing a book about the Human Target, which I think is super interesting.
Who's the Human Target?
He's a guy who you hire who looks like other people to try to kill him because he takes the bullet.
Oh wow!
And that's his whole job. Is like most people who aren't familiar with him, if you ever watched the CW Arrow, where there's an episode where Oliver Queen gets shot and you think he died, but he was actually the Human Target, hired by Oliver Queen to take the shot. I don't remember
that one, but that's pretty cool.
He's a super interesting character because that's his
he's
whole
able
job.
to survive bullets.
Yeah, he just lives.
All right,
don't worry about it. And Tom King's writing that. I just read something and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta pick that up. I read everything. I've read Rorschach, Strange Adventures. I don't own, but I've read about 90% of Tom King's run in Batman. I'm reading Batman Catwoman. I'm reading Supergirl. But basically anything he has his finger in, I've tried to read. And I'm with that with Tynion and with Zdarsky as well. Another one of my favorite DC characters, again, kind of getting more groundswell now. He was popular, then he lost popularity. Now he's kind of coming back again. Mr. Lobo.
I don't know what voice to picture when I'm reading this guy.
He has a voice in the '90s, like Justice League.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it like?
Very kind of like gruff Brad Garrett, in a way.
I picture literally like that deep voice motorcycle guy.
Like,
with
that's like a deep Sean Connery. Do you remember Casper?
The Friendly Ghost?
Yeah. The movie?
Yeah.
You know the fat ghost?
Fatso.
Yeah, that's Brad Garrett, that type of voice.
Oh, so yeah, more of that deeper raspy, like...
Yeah, that's the voice I use, but Lobo's really cool.
I expect him to like literally just drinking a beer, throwing the can, burping and all that.
So I've got every Lobo of the 90s run right now.
Just want to make sure it's still recording.
I have all the Lobos from the 90s. I have the new Lobo and Crush run, which is cool. It's from Crush's perspective, Lobo's daughter. I haven't picked up the Superman versus Lobo yet.
I heard it was crap. I don't mean to say that inappropriately.
I don't know.
But yeah.
Because I have such a distaste for Superman that I have a hard time, even with the character, like, any Batman Superman run. I love Batman. I'm not going to touch because I just detest Superman so much. But that's just me. If you've read it, tell me how it is in the comments. If there's enough in there saying, yo, it's good, I'll read it. Another one this is an indie. I really like it. It's called Blue Flame.
Oh, right, yeah.
We both picked this up on a whim.
The tech guy. Let me see if I think I have a different cover, too.
It's very cool. It's like an indie version of like a Justice League or Avengers, and they're all humans, and somehow, which is odd, somehow he's in like this mind state of having to basically lobby for humanity with a bunch of aliens, but he's also suffering from like he and the rest of his people got gunned down at an event. It's really trippy. It's really cool. If you get a chance to pick it up, It's definitely worth the read.
Can't find it. I found Broken Soul's Ballad. That was pretty creepy.
Yeah, Broken Soul's Ballad, definitely.
Let me just put this up here while you're looking at your next one really quickly. This
Broken Souls.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to find it or read it, give it a read. Also, let us know what the because I haven't read the second or third. I think they did come out, but
The second one came out. The third one hasn't yet.
This is a creepy comic.
Very creepy, very dark.
Very dark. And I made the mistake by deciding, hey, I'm going to put in headphones and listen to some creepy music while reading this.
Why would you do that?
It was not good, dude. It was a very bad thing. It was so bad.
It's very Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
And
it's very crafty.
Lovecraft?
Don't know what that is.
H.P. Lovecraft?
No idea what that is.
Like Cthulhu?
Cthulhu? No idea. Cthulhu.
Geez.
What's that?
Lovecraftian. Most people will know that. H.P. Lovecraft was a horror writer. Mm-hmm. He basically wrote about like the Deep Ones and Madness and like Cthulhu, which is like an underwater sea demon, like tentacle monster that would take over the world. But
in such a dark, very dark, horror, scary way. We're not talking like, oh yeah, here's just an image. It's like your mind. It's a mind frack. It's scary though.
Between the two, because we both read that. Because I think you got Red Room right.
I did not, and I read like the first page. I was like, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, I did the same with Red Room. This, for me, did it right. Very trippy, very dark. Red Room was a little too much, and I think I got like a quarter.
It was more forceful, I think.
It's very gory, very
versus mental psychological.
I don't like gore for gore's sake. Like if it's there, cool. I like a mental. Trickery. I find that more interesting. But again, just me. If you liked Red Room, leave a comment. Tell me about it. If it's super good, I still have the comic. I just haven't really read it. Another one of my Marvel characters that I've gotten really into would be Mr. Moon Knight.
Nice.
This is Mark Spector, Volume 3, Number 1. I have the beginnings of Volume 1. I have 2 through 10. I'm still looking for Number 1. I have all of Volume 2, The Fist of Khonshu, and I have a smattering of Mark Spector, and I have all of the new run from McKay, Jed McKay.
I shall keep this.
Getting very, very popular now because of the TV show or movie. I think it's a TV show.
I think it's going to be on the Disney Plus. Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because everyone I try to find now I can't find because everyone's picking them up. Which I think we can in another video we can talk about. How crazy comic books can be. Really cool character. He's a character who was a ex-Marine who has dissociative identity disorder, which you can kind of tell from if you've watched the trailer for Moon Knight. He takes himself out of his own body, which is Mark Spector, and puts his identity into other things while he's doing insane things. Because he has brain damage. He has DID. And he's dealing with it. In this new run, he's really dealing with it, going through therapy. Trying to control that part of him. But yeah, really, really dark, really interesting character who's running with a bunch of other Marvel characters like the Punisher and Spider-Man.
I will say is I really like the way the Moon Knight looks.
His design is awesome.
It really is sick. His suit is awesome. The eyes, the white.
I consider it like the antithesis of Batman because it's all white with the black. Yeah, and his is all black with the white.
Right.
Like it's very polar opposite, but works great. It looks clean. Another one of my indies from Boom. Again, Tynion's writing it. He's writing this, and he's also writing the spin-off, because I think this run is actually done. This is Something is Killing the Children. This is I think the 8th print of this, which again, I didn't really know about it until the 8th print, and I think they're giving it away for free at one point. I was like, okay, I'll grab it.
Yeah, this was one of those super huge ones that actually it's really either you love it or you just don't care. I
feel
for
like
it
right
all.
now it's all Tynion's work. It's
so
like
people
Department
jumped
of
on the
Truth.
bandwagon.
It's Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah.
It's House of Slaughter is probably gonna blow up. Which is the spinoff of this. The House of Slaughter is a spinoff of this. It's prior to this story. It's basically about children manifesting monsters. And this character is a part of an order to try to take care of the monsters without letting children die.
Yeah, I don't like kids and scary shit. I don't. I tried watching, what was that movie with Jack Nicholson?
The Shining?
Yes, The Shining. And those 2 little girls, dude. You know, like, I'm done. No.
Can't deal with it. Really cool read. If you get the trades, pick up the trades. It's worth it. Again, Tynion's an amazing writer. Now we're going to get to probably my favorite 2. I guess I can do this one right now. Last House on the Lake.
Yeah.
Or Nice House on the Lake. He's got the variant cover.
Yeah, very cool. I'll come right here, right quickly.
Again, cool story, non-superhero based. If you're not into superhero stories, pick it up. It is about aliens.
Somebody invites this whole party to dinner and shit starts going down or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Basically they all go to a cabin on a lake and things get really bad from there. Really cool story. Funny enough, actually I'm wearing the shirt, or LCS, which is Liberty Comics, represent. I told them that this was coming out. And the owner, Gail, looked at me and said, "Yeah, okay. I love you, Gail." And I said, be prepared." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It's a Tynion work. It's coming out. There's a lot of hype behind it because it's Tynion. Get enough." The day comes to launch, and it drops, and I think he had 10 copies. So I got a poll because I asked for it, I think 4 months in advance. And so I got the poll, and I walk in and I pick it up, and he goes, "Man, I should have listened to it." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I had 10 copies, and they were gone by 12:30.
Yeah.
He opened at 12. He's like, they were gone by 12:30.
I was lucky enough actually to get the variant. I wasn't planning on getting it. I was like, I don't really care so much for it. I heard about the hype. They still had a variant available, so like, you want to take it? I'm like, fine, screw it. Let me just grab it. It might be
It's
worth
really
something.
good. I really like it. It's very trippy. It has nothing to do with superheroes, which I think Tynion's kind of going that route.
I think it's kind of cool for DC to even for Black Label. I think for DC to not go to a superhero route.
And that's what I like
kinda
about
cool.
Black Label is they have, like, Rorschach is on the Black Label.
But Rorschach can still be considered a superhero, Watchmen and all that, right?
He's Watchmen superheroes are different than DC superheroes.
Okay.
They're a part of the same property now because DC bought it, but they're completely different because 90% of the Watchmen heroes are all human. There's like the one dude who's like a god.
Okay. And the rest of them, they're just regular people.
Regular people. Yeah. They're just heightened. Which Ozymandias versus Batman would be a really cool fight. Now, I think this is... I'm not going to save this one for last.
Say that one for
my
last?
favorite.
Yeah, all right.
This is my second favorite. This is a Scott Snyder run. It's Nocterra.
Yeah. Nocterra.
I got Ozzy into this.
Forgot. I gotta give you something.
What are you giving me?
Because the show they got picked up for the auction, so I was able to find a couple other first.
Oh, it got picked up?
It's good. Well, no, it didn't actually. It's still possible option. I guess that's what. Yeah, I got picked up for an option, so it did get picked up. That doesn't mean they're actually going to make the show. That's
I got
what
you.
it means. So I was able to find 3 copies of these, right? So I figured I'd give you another one.
Oh, thank you.
Printing.
I'm not gonna complain about that. Really cool story about if the sun went out and there are monsters in the shadows.
Apocalyptic style, yeah.
Very apocalyptic. I think there's only 6 issues right now. I don't know if it's going to continue or not. There hasn't been an issue for a while. I hope it does because it's great. Yeah, really cool.
The art is really great. The storyline is perfect. It's very interesting, very outside the box.
Yeah.
Very outside the box. And it doesn't disappoint. The ending doesn't disappoint at all. Even if you kind of see it coming, it's like it was perfectly fluid. Scott Snyder's excellent.
Yeah, Scott Snyder's great. He did a really good job on Batman. He's done great on every side project he's ever worked on. I think he actually does his best work in the indies. Another one indie that you picked up and you kind of dropped, but I'm continuing with it, is Bunny Mask. It's great. I think indies right now are crushing it compared to Marvel and DC. I think they have way more...
This is the first print, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
They have way more leeway with storytelling, I think, than Marvel and DC give their writers. I think some writers can kind of just tell them, no, I'm doing this in Marvel and DC, and that's kind of the way it goes. Like, I think Tynion and Zdarsky and King kind of have that type, or like McKay, kind of have that leeway.
Definitely McKay, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Garth Ennis might be one of those.
Garth Ennis definitely, a little bit more freedom.
That they can basically go, yeah, I want to write this, and
no one will say
everyone's
anything.
going to be like, yeah,
fine. Sure, do what you want. Do what you want. Now, Marvel and DC would be like, hey, you still have a little bit of constraint.
Like... I didn't bring it with me, but Garth Ennis is writing Batman Reptilian. It's great. Artwork is fantastic. It's a lot darker story of Batman than we're probably used to in a while. Pick it up. It's worth it. But that's Garth Ennis. He writes darker stories.
We can't talk about Garth Ennis without showing that thing, though. I have Reptilian. I'm sorry, man. You're going to have to show it.
I don't have Reptilian with me.
I have it.
You have it? Yeah. So, Bunny Mask. Pick it up. It's really cool.
Cool. Help me, correct me with that, the Bunny Mask. There was a story that I did,
Garth Ennis, great. He wrote The Boys. He's a great writer.
I heard, all right, so it's true. I did I dropped the Bunny Mask, but I think I still had like the second issue in my pull. And so he goes to our LCS, asks, wait, what is my, yeah, Bunny Mask number 2? Yeah, just give that to me.
Yeah, so I had asked for it to be pulled. It was not pulled for me. It was in his pull. I'm looking through it, and I was like, I was going to grab you one of your comics. So it was like,
I asked you to pick one up.
And I'm looking through it. I'm like, oh, he's got Bunny Mask too. He's not reading that.
Yeah, give it here.
Like, it's mine. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm like, if he has a problem, he'll talk to me about it. They didn't care. They're like, yeah, we know.
I think I was like, all right, cool, good. I'm glad you got it.
Yeah, really cool. Now this one, this is from Xenoscope. The only one from Xenoscope I've liked so far. I think you were the same way. We both read it. We've read a couple from Xenoscope. And
there was Robin Hood that I read that I
didn't care. And I tried reading it, and that was...
Oh, and then the Van Helsing.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
That was crap.
But this is Man, Goat, and the Bunny Man.
This was good.
Very supernatural vibes about a literal man-goat and a literal bunny man.
No, when he says supernatural, he means the show.
Like, yes, the show's supernatural. It's these two guys who solve supernatural crimes.
But this is definitely cuter and funnier and crazier, too.
Yeah,
I mean, just because it's cute, it's not for kids.
It's 3 comics. It's only the 3-comic arc. I don't think they're going to do much more with it. Really worth the pickup if you find it.
Definitely not for children. I mean, sure, you can tell by the cover.
It is mature audience only. This is the only one they had of the variant. Not that I was searching for it or anything. Another one that Ozzy got me into. I ended up picking up the second printing of the first one, but I have the first printing for everything else. Is Stray Dogs.
Yeah.
When I first heard about it, I was like,
Same here. Yeah.
I was like, It's a story about stray dogs. At first, I didn't realize it was about literal dogs. I was thinking like